is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. I am your host, Junkyard James, and with me, as always, the man with the most sauce, Cody Marinara, my friend. How are you doing on this wonderful Thursday evening?
You know what goes good with sauce? Wieners. Bratwurst. Listen, I had some fantastic bratwurst over the weekend, and we had leftovers last night, and we had spaghetti on Monday, so we had leftover sauce, and I put that some bitch on the bratwurst. I think it was like the garlic Irish bratwurst from Johnsonville. Y'all, come on now. The Ender Paisano in me just like marked out whenever I ate that. It was so good. I need it again. That shit was so good. We are doing all right over here. I've got a crazy daughter in the background that's needed to be in bed 45 minutes ago, but here we are. That's how we roll in the Marinara household. It gets a little wild sometimes, but that's all right. But we are doing good over here. All the snow is melted, thank God. I'm tired of the snow. Tired of the cold. We had our first false spring this week. It was fantastic. We need more of it. Screw that Punxsutawney Phil. But yeah, how about you, my friend? How we doing this beautiful Thursday evening?
We're doing pretty good. Hey, you think of having one rambunctious kid is crazy. Just wait till June when there's a second one in the mix. But
I will not be. I will not be sleeping for at least 2 months straight. So that's gonna be great.
If you see in the future a press release from the social media pages saying Cody Marinara is on the injured reserve list for a while, it's because he hasn't slept for a while. And
exhausted eyeballs.
Or he plays for the Atlanta Braves, because it seems like that always happens. But we're not talking baseball today. We're going to start this show talking about last weekend's Super Bowl and our sports segment that I've finally decided to give a name for the segment. We're going to call it Iron and Turf. We're going to talk about some sports. Then we'll get to our mid card meltdown like we always do every week, and then break down some of the hottest wrestling news to end the show. But we got a couple housekeeping things to talk about beforehand. Thank you to all of our affiliate partners. The links are in the description below, but I gotta talk about W Energy here for a moment. I am in love with this new flavor here. It's called Tiger's Blood. It's a mixture of strawberry, coconut, and watermelon. Fantastic. You can pick up a tub of that using our code Beyond the Yard at w.gg. Save some money as well using that code and help support the podcast. We are also affiliated with StubHub and WWE Shop. I don't know about you, but this past weekend, my WWE Shop order from December finally showed up. I finally got my John Cena merchandise from when he retired about 2 months ago. So
let me pause you there real quick. Yeah, I got that too. So here's the problem with that. I got that and the Funko Pop because I like collecting Funko Pops. And the damn thing said it was expected to be there around September of this year, right?
Yeah.
So we're currently remodeling my wife's aunt's house. That's where we're going to be moving into, just right down the road. Obviously, when you have a baby, you want to be by yourself. And 3-bedroom, it's going to be good for what we need in the short term. So I'm like, you know what? This thing's going to get here in September. We're already going to be moved over there. Not that it's a bad thing if our mail is at the current place we're at now, but you don't want to make an extra trip. It's already there. Yeah. So when I got the notification 3 weeks ago that it shipped, I'm like, oh shit. Now, mind you,
Oh man.
Hey, where we have am I back?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 3 weeks ago that it shipped. I'm like, oh no. I was just glad that it got delivered because we need a new mailbox. It's there. It's leaning. We got a leaner over there. We need to upgrade the mailbox. But anyways, so yeah, when I saw the notification that mine shipped and then it got delivered, I had a sigh of relief that it actually got delivered. I didn't think it would. But yeah, so it's there. Interesting enough. Just the shirt, not the Funko Pop. But sorry, continue. I just had to share that.
Long story short, WWE shop exceeds expectations. So go ahead and use our link and support the podcast that way. You like that segue there? I don't know. Maybe. Scan the QR code at the top left of the screen. Join our Discord community, the Real Wrestling Community. As we all know, this is a wrestling-centric podcast, breaching in on some other topics like pro football, slowly integrating that into our stuff. So we are a wrestling fan base trying to build a community of wrestling fans and sports fans together to talk about all things wrestling, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, whatever. Best place to do that is at this Discord server. Go ahead and scan that QR code and join the Real Wrestling Community, and let's build the next best community on social media. And I just want to have the capability to just talk about some of the things we can't talk about on the live streams. As we keep our live stream somewhere between an hour and a half. We don't want to talk forever, and so it's good to be able to talk the rest of the time amongst the community. So let's talk about in our Iron and Turf sports segment to start the show. I guess overall, your impression of Sunday's Super Bowl. The Seattle Seahawks won the Super Bowl this year, toppling, dismantling, dominating the New England Patriots. We'll get to the Patriots in depth here in just a moment, but your overall feeling on that game, and did you enjoy it and all of that?
I mean, I kind of enjoyed it. You know, you try to enjoy the last little bit of real football that you get for about 6 months. So, you know, I mean, it was a close game score-wise up until really the middle of the third quarter, latter part of the third quarter. And I mean, it was mostly a defensive type of game. And I know that's not the most
I think you might have muted yourself.
Did you catch any of that?
No, sir.
Son of a bitch. All right, so we'll start again. I enjoyed the game just for the fact that it's the last version of real football that we'll get for about 6 months. So I tried to enjoy it as much as I could. And it was a decent game up until about the latter part of the third quarter, score-wise. And it was mostly a defensive game, which I didn't mind. It's not the sexiest version of football for most people, but I enjoy that. Both defenses played really well. The offensive line, especially the left tackle, Will Campbell, I think, for the Patriots is he needs to be moved to a guard, man. He is not a left tackle. And Drake May did not play great at all either. But offensive line didn't help him a lot with that at all. But yeah, he was not very good either. And Seattle just did enough. And I think the Patriots' game plan was play great defense and wait for Sam Darnold to make a mistake so the Patriots can have a short field and hopefully capitalize on that. They were playing to lose pretty much, or playing to not lose, and that didn't really work out in their favor, of course. But yeah, I mean, it was fine up until about the fourth quarter when it really started getting out of hand, and it's like, well, we know who the Super Bowl champions are. And the saying that I've heard over the last couple of weeks is true, is that you really don't find out who the most dominant team that deserves the Super Bowl is up until about the third, fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. And you're like, yep, that's the team that deserved to win the Super Bowl. They were the team that should have won. And that was true with the Seahawks. But, yeah, sad that we won't have real football for about 6 months, but on we go.
Yeah, no, my overall baseline thoughts are Seattle proved, like you said, I think all year long that they were the best team in football. They were probably the most consistent team in football. And the fact that they played the schedule that they have, I mean, they had two other teams in that division that are playoff caliber and really good teams. The Rams are a good team. The 49ers were a pretty good team this year. And they were the cream of the crop in that division, deserving of that one seed. I don't think there was a game that I watched of Seattle's this year that I went away thinking, oh, this team is a fraud. Like, they were very consistent all year long. Obviously, they lost a few games, as all teams do. But the other thought I had was, like, imagine if Phillip Rivers wasn't 75 years old, because I think the team that gave that Seattle team the most run for their money was that Phillip Rivers Colts team earlier this year that almost pulled off an upset at the end of the regular season. But no, they dominated that game, I think, from almost start to finish. And that seemed to be a main theme for Seattle this year. But the main conversation that I want to have regarding the teams in the Super Bowl doesn't necessarily have to do with Seattle. I think we could all agree that Seattle deserved to be there. Now, I think looking closer at the resume of the New England Patriots, I think there has to be questions of, were the New England Patriots good and deserving to be in the Super Bowl? Or were they just benefactors of a bunch of things going their way, having an easy schedule, playing good teams that had injuries during the time that they played the Patriots, and then having one of, if not the easiest runs in the playoffs, I think, in modern history, where every team they played, a key player on that team was hurt. I mean, Justin Herbert came in for the Chargers basically with one arm. C.J. Stroud with the Texans was basically Helen Keller and they were without Nico Collins. And then you get to Denver, and their backup quarterback's playing. Not to say that you can take that away from New England. They won the games they needed to win, and but the question is, did they do it decisively? Were they dominant in all of these games that they won? I don't think so. I got some stats I want to share, but first, I guess answer this question for me. Were the New England Patriots a good team deserving of the Super Bowl, or were they just a team that took advantage of a lot of things going their way and having an easy schedule?
It's probably a cop-out answer, but I mean, I think both can be true. I mean, yeah, they played the games that were in front of them, and they won the games that led them to get to the Super Bowl. But having the easiest schedule of the NFL of any team this past season was in their favor.
Right.
And as a diehard Washington fan, I have no problem saying that in 2024, Jaden Daniels' rookie year, same thing happened to us, at least for the regular season part of it. I think we had the 8th or 10th easiest schedule of the NFL in 2024, and we rode that to a 12-5 record and made it to the playoffs. Now, however, the difference between us and the Patriots, yes, we didn't go to the Super Bowl, but we did beat Tampa Bay on the road. It was practically fully healthy and was a really good team in 2024. And then went on the road and faced a Detroit Lions team that, yes, had been beat up all year, but continued to win, continued to beat really good teams down the stretch to not only win the division, but get the number 1 seed in the NFC with all the injuries they had with Aiden Hutchinson being out and their defense being out. But they had David Montgomery that came back, as well as, Jahmyr Gibbs. And it was a track meet, but we beat them 45-31 and went to the NFC Championship game. And then, of course, got blown out by the Eagles. Eagles, obviously, were the best team in the NFL 2024. But what I'm trying to get at is that both of us in separate years made the most of the level of opponents that we faced that led us to those records. Again, though, Patriots won the games. They got to the big dance, and kudos to them for winning to get to where they needed to. And the defense carried them, of course, in the playoffs. But, yeah, I think both could be true.
I think both, like you said, they could be true, but I think I tend to lean more that the New England Patriots were a mid team that took advantage of an easy schedule. I think that's kind of my assessment of the New England Patriots. They're not a terrible team by any means, because they did have to play a couple really good teams. I mean, against the Panthers were a playoff team and they blew them out 40-9, I think was the score of that game. They beat Tampa Bay, and granted, both of those teams ended with losing records, and maybe that's another conversation of how terrible the NFC South is. But they beat the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, so that's a good win for them. But I think you saw down the stretch, probably about the time that they played Buffalo the second time, Buffalo kind of changed their defensive strategy, and I think unlocked the key of what you had to do to beat Drake May. I want to show you a couple slides that I have, or images that I have, some graphics here. Drake May versus, let's start with this one. The New England Patriots and the regular season, top 5 in scoring, 28.8 points a game, 391 yards per game, only 1.3 turnovers per game. You take a look at the playoff, and their offensive efficiency plummeted almost 11 points, 18 points per game. Their offense shrunk about 125 yards a game, and they turned the ball over almost one additional time per game. I think this is the biggest factor of the struggles down the stretch of New England. And then let's take a look at Drake May as an individual, regular season versus postseason. In the regular season, Drake May was an MVP candidate. 258.5 yards a game, almost 2 touchdowns a game, less than 1 turnover or interception per game, threw for 72% completion, the highest in New England Patriots history, beating Tom Brady's number, 113.5 passer rating. And then you get to the playoffs, and his 207 passing yards per game, 1.5 interceptions per game, not even accounting for like the 10 fumbles that he had in the playoffs, an 82 passer rating in the playoffs. And then final stat, Drake May this year against teams with a winning record, 11 touchdowns, 11 total turnovers, 1,760 yards, 64% completion, a 91 passer rating, and I think the most damning stat line, negative 6.6 cumulative EPA, efficiency per attempt. He was the Patriots were a mid team against good teams, and they were a good team against bad teams and a mid team against okay and better teams. And sometimes, and I say this a lot, sometimes defense can carry you to the playoffs. But at some point, the offense is going to have to show up, and the offense never did. And I think you see against some of the top echelon of teams, because New England didn't have the roster to compete against some of the better teams, and it showed, and it finally reared its ugly head in the Super Bowl. it's going to be interesting to see what they do because, like you said, their offensive line did not look good in the Super Bowl. Drake May was basically on his hind end basically every single play in that the first 3 quarters. And then, I mean, it was like Drake May threw for 295 yards in that Super Bowl. About 170 of them was in just trash time when nobody really cared, and Seattle was playing prevent defense the whole 4th quarter, and he was able to pick him apart at that point in time.
Yeah, and I think that, like I said, both can be true, but I do like your point, and it does make sense that your defense can carry you pretty decent into the playoffs, but at some point the offense needs to come around. I don't think the Patriots scored more than 20 points in a game in the entire playoff run that they had,
right?
Which shows how good their defense was. Yes, but Seattle had a very good defense too, but they got lit up by Matthew Stafford, who, thank God, he won the MVP over Drake May. Let's be real. Right. And Matthew Stafford showed his poise and his level of maturity when it comes to the quarterback position. And the Seattle defense did enough to win, but it was mainly Sam Darnold having the game of his life and the offense having the game of their lives that pulled out the win against the Rams in the NFC title game. But you look at the way that Seattle's run in the playoff went, Super Bowl, the defense was just elite, absolutely elite. Offense was good enough. Wasn't great, maybe not even really good, but just good enough. NFC title game, the offense carried the team really. Special teams played a little bit of a factor, of course, and then defense a little bit, but not, they didn't play nearly as good as they did against New England. And then who they play in the divisional round was it the 49ers, and they completely dominated the 49ers. That was started off with special teams, right? I mean, you look at each one of those games, and all 3 phases of the game mattered in those 3 games. Divisional round, special teams kicked it off with the opening kickoff return for the touchdown. And then you get to the divisional round, offense carried the game. And you get to the Super Bowl, defense carried it. I mean, literally all 3 phases, they had a huge factor in why they won those games. And that's impressive. And that's why they showed that Seahawks, why they won the Super Bowl. And I think I heard the stat that they are the only team in the history of the NFL to go through an entire playoff run, win the Super Bowl, and not commit a single turnover. That's impressive.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Impressive. Awesome. Just as impressive of how the Jets did not have a single interception on defense in 17 games this year. That's absurd. I mean, it's crazy.
And we look forward to next season. What's scary is Seattle has like 80 or 70 to 80 million dollars in cap space. Like they have their star players on rookie deals, or like Sam Darnold. Let's give the guy some credit. Like, this is back-to-back years he's led a team to a 14-3 record in the regular season. And Minnesota, had they been like, I think Minnesota took advantage of a little bit of an easy schedule last year, but and they just kind of got shocked out of their mind losing to whoever they lost to in the playoffs. But last year, but the loss of Sam Darnold, I think, really affected Minnesota. Minnesota did not look like a good team this year. Sam Darnold really changed the foundation, and I think he's overcome his early career demons of being a New York Jet. And so I think it's just wild that we can say Sam Darnold is a Super Bowl champion before we can say Lamar Jackson is a Super Bowl champion or Josh Allen is a Super Bowl champion. That's just crazy to me.
It's hard to believe that. One last thing I'll say is Sam Darnold has proven a formula that was proven, got lost, but should be brought back to the forefront. You got to take time to develop your quarterbacks. You have to do it. They don't always have to start day one.
Right.
Some absolutely can. They can handle it. No problem. Some of these guys, they just need a year. They maybe need two. Jordan Love is a great example. Spent, 2 or 3 years behind Aaron Rodgers. Aaron did the same thing with Brett Favre. You can't just give up on these guys so easily. And I understand that it's a quarterback-friendly, it's a quarterback-needy league, and it's a results-now league. What did you do for me today, this week?
Right.
I get it. But Sam Darnold has proven that you can beat this journeyman, first-round pick, supposed to be great, sucked because you're on a terrible team, be a backup, start very few games, and then show up in those few games, get signed to a team, show out, and say, hey, I've been learning over the past 2-3 years. I'm ready to go.
Right.
And then got the big-time money in Seattle, and now look at them. I mean –
right. I mean, I think you can throw Daniel Jones into that mix. I mean, before he got injured, Indianapolis was probably the hottest team in the AFC. I think for the sample size that we got while Jordan Love was hurt, Malik Willis looked pretty good. He's probably going to win a starting job because of his play in Green Bay this year. And you're absolutely correct.
Geno Smith's resurgence. I know that he didn't have a great season in Las Vegas, but because of his play in Seattle for a couple of years, he was treated as if he was one of the top 15 quarterbacks in the league.
Right. I mean, your point is absolutely correct. These teams give up on these quarterbacks extremely too fast. But that's, again, probably another topic for another day. And I could probably talk about that for 30 minutes myself. But maybe one day down the road we'll entertain that discussion. But all right, let's transition out of sports and into the squared circle with our mid-card meltdown. I'm going to give you the floor. Anything happened this week in the wrestling world, or I guess if not the wrestling world, outside somewhere that kind of grinded your gears and you just need a space to melt down? I'll give you the floor.
I know we're about a month and a half away from opening day. Fuck baseball. Specifically the Atlanta Braves. Specifically Alex Anthopoulos. Or specifically the training staff. What the hell? I don't really have much of wrestling-wise that really grinded my gear. Actually, I do. We'll save that for just a little bit down in the rest of the show. What the hell? This is the second year in a row that the Braves have had injury problems out the gate.
Yep.
I mean, you got two of your one very good pitcher, one good pitcher on his way trajecting up. AJ Smith-Strauver, Spencer Schwellenbach, going to be gone until May, June. Ha-Sung Kim broke his hand falling on ice in South Korea. The hell? How? I mean, what did we do? Did we literally make a deal with Satan himself and said, listen, if you allow us to win the World Series in 2021, we will be ass the next 10 years. We will have injuries like you've never seen before. I'm convinced of it.
You can't forget the Joe Jimenez injury.
Joe Jimenez. I mean, how do you just now figure out that these guys were not healthy in the winter? Did they give a false report? I feel like there should be a clause in the contract that says we need physicals every so often, especially when you're injured. See where you're at. And if you're really not that healthy, let's put you on the 60-day disabled injured list. We can't say disabled list anymore. Put you on the 60-day, 120-day, whatever. That way, you know, if Alex Anthopoulos did not know this in December, I'd be very concerned because all off season he was saying how they need to shore up the bullpen, sign a couple guys for depth, and possibly get a starting pitcher. When you fill up the bullpen a little bit, got some help with the depth, and nothing for starting pitching. Sorry. I mean, no, he didn't do anything for starting pitching, I don't think. We're relying on Ronaldo Lopez to be okay. We really don't know how good he is. Chris Sale is coming off of a okay year, right? But I mean, he's 37. You don't know how well he's going to be. We're hoping Spencer Strider can get back to his 2022, 2023 self. And then who we left with? Hurston Waldrop, we're hoping, shows out like he did the end of last season. And then who's the fifth arm right now? Bryce Elder.
Is Ronaldo Lopez cleared?
I thought he was, or if he's not, it's not. I don't believe he's on a 60-day IAL. I think he might be on the short term, maybe, but I don't think he's on that. But I mean, Grant Holmes is his elbow was not meant to be a starter, right. And he did that last year, and he did okay, but his elbow is a ticking time bomb. I don't think that he can last that long being a starter. You put him into the bullpen, and the bullpen all of a sudden looks a lot better, even without Joe Jimenez. But yeah, and then Murphy's hurt too. I believe he won't be back until April, I believe, if not May. Yeah, that's. I mean, I thought the Commanders had just terrible luck, but their injuries happened during the season. This is before we even get to training camp, spring training games. Which means that basically we will not be watching the Braves until July, and just hope that they go on a run to make it to the playoffs, in which they could, and then absolutely tear themselves apart and get absolutely wore down, and then get swept in the wild card round. Fully expecting.
Like every year?
That's my main meltdown. I didn't really have a wrestling one, but I had to get it off my chest because it's just absolutely insane how this team is cursed right now. And next year, either Anthopoulos is getting fired, or we're trading everybody, and it's going to be a 2015 all over again.
Yeah, you talk about the Braves. They kind of started the offseason on a what the hell kind of note when they didn't sign a big name manager. They just promoted the terrible former Colorado Rockies manager, Walt Weiss, to be the guy, but we'll see how this season goes. My mid-card meltdown moment for this week, I think, has to be this. We're getting duplicate reports about why Brody King wasn't on television last night. It was reported, I think, if I remember correctly, by Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer, that they heard Brody King was taken off of TV. Meltzer and Alvarez said that basically Warner Brothers did not want the fans chanting the chant that they chanted yesterday. So Brody King and was left off of TV. Reportedly, Warner Brothers came out and made a statement and said that's not the case. And my mid-card meltdown all day was basically going to be about how, while last week I talked about how I don't like politics being part of the experience, I don't think like we should hijack a show with a political message. I also don't think it's a safe place to be to keep main characters off of television out of some sort of fear that the fans are going to hijack the show. Because believe it or not, Brody King has a championship match on Saturday. And it would have been a really good idea to have him on TV to sell that match. And if he was off TV simply because he was not scheduled to appear, well, that's dumb booking by Tony Khan. And if he was kept off TV because Warner Brothers said we don't want the fans to hijack the show, well, guess fucking what? That's dumb. And on Saturday in Australia, where they probably don't really have two shits to give about the immigration in America, they're going to hijack the show just for shits and giggles. So I hope they're prepared for it either way. And then every show for the next, 6 months is going to be hijacked that when Brody King shows up. They may have just, fuck themselves in the ass, excuse my language, by trying to keep Brody King off of television. And while I don't agree with the position, I don't think punishing Brody King, if that's the case, if that's the truth, I don't know. Obviously, Meltzer and Alvarez have their insiders, and maybe one side is telling one story and the other's telling another. But I don't think punishing a character because of he didn't tell them to chant that. They just did it because they knew where Brody King stood on that issue. And so I was going to go off on this big tangent on how Warner Brothers was in the wrong, but Sean Ross Sapp basically debunked Dave Meltzer's point from this morning on his show. So it's probably nothing to go too deep into a rant about. So I guess we'll have to figure out where that goes from there. I will say though, I wouldn't hate it if Brody King won the belt on Saturday. Just ride with the momentum of Brody King being this top babyface. But at the same time, I think you would destroy months of possible story if Brody King won. And I don't know if long term it would be beneficial to pull the belt off of Max, given the fact that AEW ratings have been going up week after week since he's been champion. So we'll see how it goes, and tune in on Saturday. I'm assuming it's going to be taped because they're in Australia.
Yeah, I would assume it's going to be whatever time they have it promoted, maybe 6:30 their time. That would make it, 12 hours behind, 13, 14, something like that. So, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, last year was the same way where they taped it and we just saw it at our scheduled time. But they did a really good job last year. I don't remember seeing spoilers for the show on social media last year. So hopefully that kind of stays the theme and we don't see spoilers for the show 10 hours in advance and we can enjoy it when it airs in the States.
Yeah, no, that's one thing that AEW fans do really good at for the most part is not spoiling the show. All right, let's get into some of the big news in pro wrestling. My goodness. Let's be consistent here for a minute. For the past couple of weeks, WWE has had a world championship match on free television. And we saw Drew McIntyre take the belt from Cody Rhodes. So I think it's fair to be consistent. We were not big fans of the title switch happening at that moment on free television. I think we got to be fair that it's probably not the smartest thing in the world to have Chris Statlander lose the Women's World Championship on free TV to Tekla. Now, granted, this was a strap match, and I love Tekla. I'm happy for her that she got the win, but this should have been saved for the pay-per-view, in my eyes. It would have been a bigger moment for Tekla, and you just kind of where does Chris Statlander go from here? That with, and granted, the TNT Championship is the TV title for AEW's men's division. Kyle Fletcher beats Tommaso Ciampa to become a two-time TNT champion. Which one are you more upset about? The Tekla World Championship or Tommaso immediately basically getting that title stripped from him?
Yeah, I don't love either. And then, like I said, I was not going to make this my Mid Card Meltdown because I knew we were going to be talking about this specific topic. And I got some thoughts on it, but definitely the women's belt switching. I don't understand that decision at all. I have said it for weeks on this show that I think it's ridiculous to give away world title matches, changing hands on free television, and that absolutely is consistent. I disagree with the decision last night that Tony did with switching the title. Even if it's the women's world title, it doesn't matter. It's a world championship belt. Those, to me, I understand that you have to make ratings. I understand that you got to do what's best for the company from a business perspective, and you're going to put these title matches on free television, and every now and then it's going to happen. I'm not saying it should never, ever, ever happen. But it's a random Wednesday. It's a Wednesday before a huge show. It's not a pay-per-view, but it might as well be on free television. What are we doing? Why? What is the point of Statlander losing the title last night? There's no reason for that. There's no reason at all. I don't love Kyle winning the belt. It's an easy, cheap heat plug. Or not cheap heat. It's an easy, cheap plug. Have him face Ciampa on Saturday and have it win in Australia. Now, I can understand that one a little bit more than I can the world title one because Fletcher's the heel. Yeah, he's going to be cheered no matter what in his home country. Heel face, no matter what, he's going to be the ultimate white meat baby face in Australia. I get it. Naturally, you would like to have him have the heel rub and the heel heat and reaction in the States because we cheer him for his athleticism and how good he is in the ring, but his character-wise, he's with the Don Callis family. We're automatically going to boo him. So I get it from that perspective. I'm not so much upset with it. It's just like, dude, really? We're 3 days away from Australia. Let him have his moment in Australia.
Right.
And of course, the 2-week Ciampa reign makes no sense, and they're kind of flip-flopping the title right now like a hot potato. But that one I'm not as upset with as I am the women's belt. I really don't understand it at all. And then making Mark Briscoe versus Fletcher 7 in a ladder match on Saturday. Buddy, we've seen this match 6 times now. I guess you can do a best of 7, and that's fine every now and then. Whoa. The match was made within 2 minutes of Fletcher winning the belt. What are we doing? Come on now. What are we doing? It's not a great look, and I don't understand it. I really don't. Last couple of weeks with the Brody King thing, and now with last night's show with the way these titles changed, very quickly you can kind of flip the switch of momentum. Not saying AEW's lost it. I don't know what they did rating-wise this week. They had a really good crowd, which, hey, we finally have an on-sale day for All in London. Boy, that almost waited until the very last minute. We finally got it. But because of how bad WWE has been booked, AEW's kind of gained some momentum, and they've been doing very good TV. Don't screw it up, man, because Tony should know how hard it is to regain the ratings, the fan base. Don't lose it, man. Yeah. You can do maybe 1 or 2 little small bad decisions, a couple bad weeks. It turns into, if it's a continuous thing, it's not gonna be good.
Yeah, I've always said Tony Khan has had a problem telling very long stories. Like, he always seems to, the stories tend to last. His best stories tend to last like 3 to 4 weeks, and then you get that pay-per-view push. And so it's some of his worst ideas, I think, come in that period after World's End, before Revolution. And like, we're at the time period now where he typically starts putting together the storylines for Revolution, and it works. And he starts putting some good stories together. What I don't like is the fact, and we'll talk about this another section of this match here in just a moment. I don't like that the Young Bucks are fighting FTR again. Like, we've seen that match 18,000 times already in AEW's tenure. I think this would have been a great opportunity for the Rascals to go in and try for the championship. And I guess this will be our segue to this next topic. Oh my gosh, is that Private Party? They show back up after what, 2 fucking years away? It seems like forever since Private Party has been on TV. This would have been a great opportunity for them to make a debut and win and get a title match and be instantaneously thrown back into the title scene as a top tag team. And yet we go with what I guess Tony Khan feels is the safe bet in the tag division, FTR versus the Young Bucks. And don't get me wrong, it's going to be a very good match. But it's something that we've seen 1,000 times already. And there's so many other opportunities, so many other matches I would rather see than a Young Bucks versus FTR match at Revolution. Because we kind of already know the outcome, don't we? Revolution's in Los Angeles. Obviously, the Young Bucks retain, or not retain, they capture the AEW Tag Team Championships in their home state of California. Like, that just only makes sense. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that. And so yesterday, really good show from a match perspective. Tommaso Ciampa versus Kyle Fletcher may go down as one of the best TV matches of the year. Tekla versus Chris Statlander was a fantastic match. The storyline behind the matches matter, though, and it doesn't make sense where they were going. All right, that's the only. Oh, well, real quick, that's the only time we're going to trash talk Tony Khan the rest of the year. But anyway, no, I'm kidding. We're going to stay consistent. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm wearing an AEW sweatshirt, and I'm criticizing the decisions. I mean, it can happen. It's okay. Yeah, and that's the bad part about it is Fletch versus Ciampa was fantastic. And in less than a month, Ciampa's already shown how more valuable he is in AEW than he was in his entire WWE run, minus the NXT run. Just let the man work, and he can show you how good he is. Easy. But that's where these guys that are known as really good wrestlers go to AEW because they can showcase. Andrade's a perfect example. Ciampa's a perfect example. But now I'm not saying the entire show has to be like that because you do need your characters. You do need your
right.
comedy relief. You need your entertainers too, for sure. Same with Tekla versus Statlander. That was a fantastic main event. That was really, really good. And strap matches can be hit or miss. I thought they did great. I mean, Statlander and Tekla both don't care how hard they hit each other. They don't care how, if they bleed. That showed that both of those gals can put on a show like that. You don't have to have the most technical, high-flying wressler in the women's division. You could just have these ladies just go and beat the shit out of each other, and it was very entertaining. But it's not so much of the finish as far as like Sky Blue and Julia helping Tekla win. I'm not mad about that. They gave a good reason. Hey, Willow and Harley Cameron, they're in Australia. They got an early head start. It kind of reminded me a little bit. It's comparing apples to grapes. It's not the same thing, but I just watched an episode of Monday Nitro a couple of nights ago where it was late 96, I believe, and Hogan and Savage were feuding for the world title, NWO versus WCW. Well, WCW had a big partnership with New Japan, and they actually had a bunch of the wrestlers booked for a New Japan tour. and quite a bit of the main WCW guys were not there on this specific Nitro, except for like the main. I mean, you had your undercard, but your main guy was Macho Man Randy Savage, who obviously was part of the main storyline. So he was there. He had a match, and then after the match, the NWO beat the shit out of him. Nobody saved him because everybody's in Japan. Like they were there. They weren't in the States. Kind of the same principle. They're already in Australia. Sorry, it makes sense. Harley's from Australia. They're doing promo for the tour. That makes absolute sense. Hey, my man, let's go. Off to a good start. Can we translate that to a win on Sunday, please?
Right.
But the storyline wise was fine. It's just, why do we have to have that on free television? Why? Why couldn't we have said that Harley and Willow got stuck the next week? I mean, you can make some shit up, but like, I don't know. I just, everything about it made sense. It's just, why do we have to give that away on free television?
Yeah. All right. Overall thoughts. Private Party's back. Everybody thought they were WWE bound, and it turns out they're still all elite. Good move for Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn, or what's going to happen with them?
Right now, I would say, yeah. Tag team division was weak in 2025. So it shows that Tony Khan's trying to put an emphasis back on the tag team division. You know, obviously FTR, Bucks, the Rascals, now Private Party, Jet Speed, Jake something, and Mark Davis, even though Jake's now hurt, right? But it's showing Tony's trying to put emphasis back on the tag team division, which is great, and it's starting to come together as far as the roster goes. But yeah, I think it's a good move for them. It's at the right time, I think. WWE has shown that they don't really care about their tag team division so much, so they could go there, have a couple good matches, maybe win a world title like the Motor City Machine Guns, and then fade into absurdity and be faded away into obsolete for months. So sometimes the grass isn't always green on the other side. And I think, you just got to stick through with it. They're still really young guys. And Mark obviously had a lot of injury problems. Isaiah did a little bit too. Just stay healthy, and your time will come. Pretty much. Right. I'm cool with them.
No, I'm happy they're back. I think the worst thing that ever happened was them being paired up with the Hardys, because at that point they were just kind of treated as a comedy gimmick. And so I think if they can come back as a dominant tag team, I think they can find their niche. I wouldn't even be against putting them in the Hurt Syndicate in some way, shape, or form, or having them be aligned with them in some way. But no, I'm happy they're back, because like you said, they probably would have gotten that quick WWE push and then they disappear. Like Will Hobbs has, who showed up at the Royal Rumble and has never made a TV appearance since. So, and I know it's just been a few weeks, but like, you just debuted the guy. You would think that you would want him on TV in the aftermath, but apparently not. All right, we're going to move on to the next topic. This is what we're going to call Pick 5. The idea is I'm going to give you a topic, and I'm going to need you to pick 5 things or people in this topic off the top of your head, or maybe, I don't know. I gave you this earlier this morning, so maybe you've thought about it. I don't know.
I told you earlier. I forgot. This is going to be fun.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be fantastic. All right. The first pick 5 of the year. Pick 5 wrestling prospects to build a new promotion around. So these could be WWE, AEW, New Japan, or just your local mom and pop indie wrestling promotion. Pick 5 prospects to build a new promotion around. And by prospect, like
okay,
by prospect, like Roman Reigns is not a prospect. So like somebody that's like kind of up and coming in the wrestling scene.
Great. Yeah, I should have a lot more time to prepare for this one. Well, wow. Let's go with. Trying to think of who the hell are. All right. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. And tell me if these are not prospects, so I can rethink the answers here. Oh my God, I just have Nick Wayne. Can we say Sol Ruka is a prospect?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay, all right. Could we say the Creed brothers are prospects?
I could say so, yeah.
Okay, there's 3. Technically 4 if you really want to go that route. And for you want to count the tag teams as technically 4 people, or do you want to say that as just 3?
I'll leave that up to you.
I'm gonna say 4 because I'm getting kind of drawn on blanks here. My 5th prospect would be you really put me on the spot here. I can't even come up with a 5th one. Damn. This one has got me stumped. Oh man, this is really difficult. I'm trying to think of some of the people down at NXT that are really impressive that that we could label as a prospect. Javon Evans, not a prospect.
I'll count it.
All right, that's it. That's fine. That's all I got.
He's a young boy. He's young, bouncy, so I'll count it. All right. So let's recap your picks. Nick Wayne, Sol Ruka, the Creed brothers, and Javon Evans. All right, let me get my picks for you. Man. All right, I actually have. So the real reason why I came up with this idea was I saw a tweet talking about how athletic Sol Ruka was. And I was watching the video they clipped. I think it was from NXT this week. And I said, she needs to be the future of WWE. Sol Ruka is probably one of the best things that they have, not only from an athletic perspective. She's a really good wrestler. She has very creative movesets. She can use her looks. She's very attractive. She can probably be the next best thing in the women's division. So my number one was always going to be Sol Ruka. I then started thinking like, all right, I would also like to build around and she's not the best in the ring right now, but I think she can run the ropes. She's worked with some of the best in the business and done really well for herself. And I love her. Kind of the same thing as Sol Ruka, but Maxine Dupree. I'm gonna consider her a prospect. And so I'll put Dupree there. I also agree with Nick Wayne. I'll put Nick Wayne there as well. Number 4. See, it's difficult because I know this wrestler that I'm thinking of has wrestled for quite a while. She's still kind of young, so I want to consider her a prospect. I'm going to do it. Billy Starks. I'll put her there. And then this is very female-centric right now outside of Nick Wayne. So let me think of another male that we can put on this list. particularly maybe from NXT. There's one guy that I watched a couple weeks ago that I kind of enjoyed. Let me think. Let me find him. Because his name's not coming to my head right now.
We need the NXT man on here. He could help us out with that.
Right. That might be who it is. Fire Drill?
Sure.
All right, that's who it is. NXT. I don't know if you've heard of this guy before, but he's actually I enjoy watching him. Jasper Troy. In NXT, he's the speed champion right now. He's just a monster. I think he can be. And so, yeah, because like I would put Trick Williams on here, but he's been in WWE long enough now that he's not really a prospect. He's now on the main roster. Same thing with like Obafemi. Like I could put Obafemi here, but he's now on the main roster, so I don't know if I can consider him a prospect because he's already kind of built himself up. He's now kind of a pro already. So I'll go with my list here. Sol Ruka, Maxine Dupree, Nick Wayne, Billy Starks, Jasper Troy. For fun, for shits and giggles, hey, comment below whose list was better. If you're watching here, comment below whose list you think is a better list. And we're going to end the show with our final thoughts segment of the night. So if there's any topic that we didn't get to, from sports to wrestling to anything in between, now's the final chance of the night to get it off your mind. I'll give you the floor.
AEW has their work cut out for them this weekend with running not only a television show on Saturday, but they have also got the house show called House Rules on Sunday in Brisbane. I have no idea what the ticket sales are for that show. If I were to guess, probably not great.
Yeah.
I think I give kudos to AEW for hitting the Australian market, especially because they have top stars that are from that area with Tony Storm, Harley Cameron, Kyle Fletcher, Mark Davis. They've got talent. We don't consider Australia a hotbed for professional wrestling. It's been a real niche market,
right?
And it ebbs and flows. There's been times where it's hot. WCW had a couple shows, a couple weeks that they were in Australia in 2000. 4 or 5 months before they died, and they sold out all their shows. And then WWE will go there, struggle with some ticket sales. AEW went there last year, originally booked for a stadium. That didn't go so well, but they did sell out a 10,000-seat arena. This year, so far, I think the last count I saw from WrestleTix was a little over 7,400 for like a 14,000 seat arena, a little over half. If they can get almost 9,000, that would be great. I just don't know. But I haven't seen a single thing for House Rules in Australia in Brisbane on Sunday, which, like I said, it concerns me that the ticket sales are probably not very good. But I mean, they're trying. They're trying to be a global company. They're trying to reach as far as they can. And they do okay in Canada. They do great in the UK. Hitting Australia, they did well in Mexico City last year. So I give them very big kudos for doing this. Not every big wrestling company is doing that. So you got to cast that net and see how far out you can get, and then you got to put your foot. You got to put make a foothold or a footnote in these different countries to create a presence. But it's a big weekend for AEW for that perspective. It's a very, very, very loaded show. Might as well be pay-per-view on free television on Saturday. They got to hit on it. I think there's some really good matchups. I think there's some very intriguing storylines going into these matches. But I'm really, really interested to see what comes out of this, and now we really officially start the Road Revolution. We're a month away from the pay-per-view as of Sunday. So now we're really going to be firing up to Revolution, and we should be getting some really good advancements in these storylines. Whoever wins between Andrade and Hangman is going to be challenging Max, we presume, if Brody does not win on Saturday. It'd be MJF versus whomever between Andrade and Hangman at Revolution. So we'll know at least the main event by next Wednesday, which is good. It's just a matter of filling out the rest of the card. So really, really important next couple of weeks for AEW here. They've had some momentum recently with the attendance, but with also the ratings in light of the kind of debacle that they've had with some of the match results from last night, plus the Brody King thing. Let's see if they can quickly put to bed those not so great things and keep them the momentum up and steamroll towards Revolution.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think the next week or so we'll kind of get a clearer picture of what Revolution looks like, and I'm excited to see the future of where AEW is headed. Hey, MJF did a interview, I think today, and the biggest clip that came out of it was when he went. He said he was a big fan, and he went of the AJ Styles retirement. And so good on Max for keeping the rumors alive. I'm going to spend a minute here to hype up Saturday's show. If you paid attention to the social medias, the announcement was made on the X and Facebook pages that the Saturday show is being rebranded in some way, shape, or form. It's going to stay on the channel the same way. It's still I'm still technically going to consider it part of the Beyond the Junkyard podcast, but we're rebranding it now as our Iron and Turf show, where it's going to be more of a sports show, or more importantly, a football related show that we're going to do weekly on Saturdays, just for myself. And so first episode of that rendition of the show will be this Saturday. I hope y'all check it out. It's not live. It'll be pre-recorded and uploaded sometime Saturday morning or afternoon. And so I hope y'all check that out, especially if you're into professional sports, professional football. The idea with this is to move or to capture an audience that is football centric, that may not necessarily be into pro wrestling, but while also having a show dedicated to what really the show is about, which is pro wrestling. So given both spaces, both things, their space, and we'll be able to give time to both topics. Other than that, that's about all we have for this week. Hopefully the news starts picking up a little bit and we can get some big topics on here the next couple of weeks. If you are watching this on the YouTube channel, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know that's a wrestling fan or a football fan. Scan that QR code and leave a comment on the YouTube channel. Let's hit the algorithm. The algorithm, for whatever reason, I don't know if I said something wrong the last couple of weeks, or if our reach has just been disturbed, if there's something going on in the algorithm. But man, some of these short form videos that I've been putting out haven't really been hitting as much as I want them to. So help us out by subscribing, hitting that like button, Junkyard Media Group on the YouTube page. If you listen to the audio, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review, hit follow or like on the platform that you listen on. And thank you for supporting the podcast that way. Leave us a review and let everybody know what you think about the podcast. And that's about all I got to say. So I'm going to turn it back over to my man, the one with the most sauce, to say the final words.
Thank you, sir. And hopefully the short that I sent over to you and that you released this afternoon hopefully helps us out a little bit numerical-wise. But yeah, hopefully we reach out more to that algorithm and reach out to more people and get this community jumping, as they say. This weekend, big sports weekend. Got some college basketball on. You got some Olympic action going on. Got your wrestling on a Saturday night with the Get Out at EW down under, down in Sydney, and throwing another shrimp on the bobby. And then you got some the NASCAR season starts this weekend as well. Biggest race of the year, the 500, Daytona 500. So plenty of opportunity to and golf is in action too. If you really want to catch a nap or two. Yeah, a lot going on. So what that means is that you got to do what you always do. Mix it up, stir it up, as Red Velvet would say. Make your most famous dish of sauce and make it as saucy as possible. Indulge in the sauce. Become the sauce. Be one with the sauce. Because just like today and forevermore, y'all need to stay saucy. Stay saucy, friends. And catch us here next Thursday.
This is wrestling without the filter. This is Beyond the Junkyard. This is wrestling.